Hey everyone, welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. I'm Brighthawk, and together with Hollis Taylor, we bring you weekly astrology that's accessible, inclusive, and totally down to earth. Hollis is a seasoned astrologer and psychic medium. I'm a musician, artist, and storyteller who loves making the cosmos relatable. We're both passionate teachers who love answering your questions and helping you navigate life through the stars. Each week we start with a guided meditation to tune in to the planetary energies. Then we dive into the week's cosmic forecast, offer horoscopes for every sign, and always make time for your live questions. Whether you're brand new to astrology or you've been following the stars for years, we create a welcoming space where everyone belongs. Our different perspectives and styles come together to give you a well-rounded cosmic experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. Let's get centered, tune in, and explore what the universe has in store for us this week.
Holy cow, my friends. How has it been for you? How is this Saturn-Neptune transit? I hope it's been okay for you. It's been a hell of a ride for us, but we're here. Better late than never. We're doing our best every day, and we're so glad that we're so grateful that you're tuning in. We're trying to walk you through this with the best of our ability, and we hope that you're walking through this with us with as much grace as we can all take. Well, we have a big week in front of us, and it's going to be full. Lots of different things coming our way, lots of big events like we've been preparing you for all month. So you know that, this is a thing, right? But we're about to enter into Mercury Retrograde. So we've made it through the Saturn Neptune conjunction, and we've made it through the eclipse. And now here we are coming up into the Mercury retrograde. You're just kind of like, Hollis, really, what's next? Just stop. You know what? I kind of said that the other day to the universe. Would you just knock it off? We've had enough of this. Okay. So I totally get it. And no doubt the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. And we're all doing the best we can. So I'm glad that you're all doing okay. And I'd love to hear from you. Put in the comments how the month of February has been for you so far. And this is our last week. So let's take this moment, let's take this minute to take a little meditation about this Mercury retrograde coming up, and let's celebrate with a little bit of let's go deep with a little bit of music from Bright Hawk. Take this moment to just settle in, get centered with your body. And feel like you're floating. You could just imagine yourself, if you're comfortable, you could be floating in water, you could be floating in outer space. And you can feel the water's gentle ripples sort of pushing you in one direction. The energy is pushing you along. And you begin to notice in this beautiful floating moment the symbol of Pisces above you. The two fishes chasing each other in the waters, around in a cycle that is never beginning or ending. A completion of a cycle and a new beginning all at once. And you recognize all of the feelings of Pisces, of emotions, of sensitivities, compassion, kindness. And when you feel this energy of Pisces in the waters below you, you can feel the waters starting to shift directions just a little bit, pushing you in a different direction, in almost a gentle pattern, in a gentle way, but a shift in a different direction, a changes, maybe not working out the way you thought, but it turns out better in the end. And with gratitude and grace and peace, you are shifted in a different direction through the waters of Pisces with a gentle nudge from Mercury, pushing you to just thinking about it a little bit differently. Well done, Greyhawk. Well
Well, thank you.
done. Oh boy, my friends. So I don't know how you have navigated this last week, but we've definitely had a roller coaster ride. Not even sure you would want to call it that. But yeah, I can be grateful that we're here at the beginning of the following week. We have survived. And all I can say is during our ride, I was very aware of what was happening in the sky. I was very aware of the eclipse, and kind of good that I was aware of the eclipse. It made more sense of what was happening for us in our experience. And then I'm just going to say I had a major health event at the very moment that Neptune and Saturn were conjunct at exactly 0 degrees. And Bright Hawk was trying to hold me through that and made me very aware of it in that moment. And we just prayed for health and prayed for healing. And then a few hours later, I was sitting in the ER and I kind of dozed off a little bit, and I heard the song. I heard this song, uh, I Want to Thank You. And I felt like our prayers were answered. So if you were happening to say any prayers on that day, on Friday, um, congratulations. Your prayers were probably answered. And that's one of the things that you should know about Neptune in Aries is that if you set certain intentions, they are more likely to happen. Did you know that? I can't remember exactly what astrologer. I know it's been multiple astrologers have. I've heard multiple astrologers say it because Aries is the beginning of the seasons. It's the beginning of, the spring. It's the beginning of the zodiac. And so, and at 0 degrees, that's like the very beginning of the beginning, right? So, but they say Neptune is a visionary anyway, and it tends to be a visionary, especially when it's direct. And then when you get it in Aries, even if it's not at 0 degrees, if you set a particular intention, you're more likely to get it. So I heard that months ago, and so I started setting the intention to have certain meditations to help with my heart and things of that nature. So, and they have certainly been helping and supporting me through this time. And if you have anything that's going on for you, take a look and see where Aries rules in your chart and, see what that looks like for you. What does that look like? Um, and how does that speak to, your own experience? And if you have a particular vision or intention you'd like to set, well, now's the time. So, and if you haven't already said it, I mean, you may have already said it, like just because you knew, right? So, all right. So, um, today is, of course, February 23rd. We usually try to record this on Sunday, but that didn't happen. And so today is February 23rd, and we are inching up to the Mercury retrograde in Pisces. The good news is that most of the time Venus will be in I think it's a trine to Jupiter. And so we're going to count that. They're both benefic planets. So even though Jupiter is retrograde, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good thing. So, and Jupiter is about to slow down and go direct anyway, but that won't happen until after. Oh, it happened during the Mercury retrograde, actually. Oh, that's good. It's going to happen. If you look here at our list, you can see that Mercury goes retrograde on February 26th. The shadow periods between February 11th, which we're already in, until April 9th. But you can see down below there that in March, Jupiter's going to go March 11th, which is kind of in the middle of this whole Mercury retrograde. It's going to go direct in Cancer. So that's actually really good. Jupiter is the benefic planet, and I think that's actually a good thing. I'm just going to speak of the overall Mercury retrograde. I feel that overall, I think this Mercury retrograde will be gentler with us, which is great news right now for most of us. Because the Mercury retrograde is sometimes hard, but we're not changing positions. There's not a whole bunch of aspects with Mercury while it's in retrograde. It's not, there's not a whole bunch of hard stuff going on. There's a little, the Mercury retrograde is going to make us review. It's going to make us look at things. It's going to make us slow down. It's going to make us review our emotional experience and that kind of thing. And it's also, like I said, Venus and Jupiter are in a conversation, in an easy conversation, pretty much the whole time. It looks like they're going to kind of do this with each other, huh? Come in and out of a trine during the entire Mercury retrograde. So that's probably a good thing, because that's like what I said in the meditation. In the end, at the end of all this, like, some things might go wrong, right? Or might get kind of not the way you imagined it, right? But in the end, it will be better. It will be in benefit to you. Okay. So I think it will all work out in the end, and it will be better, and it will work out the way you wanted it anyway. So Jupiter goes direct in Cancer on March 11th, and then Mercury will go direct on April 9th, and then we'll move into other major transitions in April, June, and July. And it will, 2026 is intensity. Most of it was happening in January, February, and March. And then it will slowly start to back off. But I mean, we still have some pretty intense things, like Uranus entering Gemini and Jupiter going into Leo, and the nodes changing signs that will shift the energy. It will shift the focus. And so we have a lot of things going on this year, but I think this Mercury retrograde overall, between now and April 9th, overall, I think it's probably going to go well. I don't think it's going to be holy cow. And not every Mercury retrograde has to be horrific. And this will be an example of one that it doesn't have to be horrific for you, especially if you're more graceful with changes. So when the changes come up, just be like, okay, it's Mercury retrograde. I just need to shift the way I'm doing this. Don't be too stubborn, is what I'm saying there. try not to pull on your Taurian too much, right? Okay. And so I think overall this Mercury retrograde. Did you look at the whole thing, Braid Hawk? Did you get a chance to review the whole thing? The whole series of events?
No, I just literally I went ahead and included the solar eclipse, but I was trying to just do the first 6 months of the year, but then nodes moving is a big deal, especially if you're an Aquarius or a Leo or a Virgo and a Pisces, because we've been experiencing it the last couple years. So no, this is not a comprehensive list. It's a partial list, but it was to give you a sense of, if things feel intense, if it feels like there's an abundance of energy and you're not sure which way to turn, you're not alone. You're not imagining things. I'm here to validate, and that's part of what this list is here to do, is to sort of say, okay, so we are in a significant period of time for humanity. I've heard various astrologers say the configurations that are happening right now literally have never happened in 6,000 years. This is kind of beyond your ability to sort of comprehend. And so, we all know that every day is a new day, and boy, there's never been Never has that been more true. And I've tried to really avoid the word unprecedented because it's been so overused this year, this time, not even this year, last year, whatever. It just feels like every time we turn around, we're saying, this is unprecedented. Well, if you say that forever, it's. What does the word even mean anymore? So it's a big time we're in, and the time in between eclipses, I would just remind everyone we are in the period of time between the solar and the lunar eclipse, which is when we say the veils are at their thinnest, the opportunity to sort of communicate with your guides is ripe. Hollis just started us off with a beautiful guided meditation and a really good reminder: set your intentions, make your wishes, speak your needs, desires out loud, even if you're just walking around talking to yourself. I really wish the universe is much more capable of delivering for us when we let it be known what we need. And then letting go and letting the universe do it in the most exquisite way that the universe can, because we certainly don't want to control everything. I know I don't. And I know I don't have all the answers. I'm much happier giving that up to a higher power. Very gladly. So, these are the times where your practice, your prayer, your meditation, your yoga, your whatever self care looks like for you, really, really important during these times. And grace. Wow. We all need a lot of it. And I think there's a lot of revelation happening this year. And I think we're seeing it. We're starting to see it on a variety of levels of things that are, you know, revelations. So let's get into this week. Let's look at the week that we have in store.
Um, okay. So first of all, I wanted to say, um, this Mercury retrograde, you can see it's at 22 degrees, and it doesn't actually go retrograde till later, but it's gonna, like, we're starting out with Venus in a trine to Jupiter. Mercury's going direct, and then Mercury's gonna actually turn around, come back, be in a trine to Jupiter. Venus will continue on its journey, and then Mercury will go past the 15-degree Pisces and then turn around and go forward again. So, and when it turns around and goes forward, at that point, Jupiter will be direct. So, I feel like both of them going direct and in a trine, that's a really awesome, beautiful blessing. Um, so this is, a Pisces sun, and yeah, Venus is trying Jupiter. So let's talk a little bit about that. What does that mean? Venus is about money, relationships. It's about expansion. And with Jupiter in Cancer, it could be relationship in home, an expansion of home relationships, or an expansion of your home, or even it doesn't have to do directly like with the house. It can to do with the house that you live in, but it may also have to do with like your neighborhood, your community, or like the land you live on. That's a Cancer rules all of those types, everything that we would call home. And yeah, some of us would say, um, our home is, let's just say, in Colorado or New York. But some of us would also say the United States is our home, or Canada is our home, or Australia is our home. And of course, this is my home, this is my house. So everywhere you would call home. And then some of us have communities that we would call home. And if that is happening, then that's also a Venus trine that is really speaking to that. It's speaking to those relationships and an expansion of them, or a review of them right now, because Jupiter's retrograde. So it's kind of like Venus is asking you, Is this the kind of relationship you wanted to have? And your job is to say, yeah, yeah, this is what I was imagining. Okay. It's important because Jupiter often listens, like Bright Hawk was saying. Jupiter, the universe needs to hear what you want. There is some free will at play always. So we have to kind of put out in the world what we want. And Jupiter is really good at listening, particularly during this Mercury retrograde. It's going to really hear your wishes. This is going to be a time that you, especially with Mercury in Pisces, it's really going to hear your wishes because Mercury's in Pisces and it's in a trine to Jupiter, which is in Cancer. So it's really going to be speaking to what do you want. So be careful what you wish for. Okay. Be careful what you speak out loud. And with Saturn, Neptune conjunct, I'm glad that Saturn's gone ahead. I can tell Saturn's gone ahead and moved off of Neptune. I'll be happy if it could just continue its little journey through Aries and get the hell off of Neptune. I'd be great for that. And, I feel like the further, as I've mentioned before in the Great Reveal, if you've been listening to Rainbow Soul through this whole time, I've been telling you the more Saturn and Neptune get away from each other, the more things will be revealed. So that's going to be like politics and such. If you've noticed, when the Epstein files started to come out, that was when Neptune and Saturn were at 0 degrees. And now we have the whole world revealing exactly all of these terrible crimes against humanity. I will agree with that. Definitely crimes against humanity, because not only does whatever happen to these young girls, but it also that gets passed down, and this kind of trauma is trauma. Trauma, as we all know, is generational. And even if it comes from outside of your family and you live with it, it still affects you as a mother. It affects you as an adult. It affects your family. It affects you. It affects everyone around you. And it continues to affect beyond that. Okay. And it goes down generation after generation. So, in my opinion, the Epstein incident, that whole Epstein disaster, uh, is a crime against humanity. Absolutely, it's an absolute trauma to the entire world, and I'm so glad that we're doing something about it, or at least we're starting to, and I hope that that continues. And there's definitely more that needs to be done,
So,
and that's really what's happening.
so that's the perfect segue to the moon is conjuncting Uranus and it's squaring Mars. What is a Mars square Uranus? Well, Mars is action. It's aggressive. Mars is the god of war, right? So Mars is sitting at 24 Aquarius. Mars in Aquarius is about justice for all. It's about the community. It's about doing right by the community. Aquarians are the ultimate humanitarians. They're the ones who go, oh my God, for the love of God, could we do this in a better way? We can't keep doing it the way we've been doing it. There's a better way. Let's find it. That's Uranian. So we have emotional moon in Taurus, conjunct Uranus, and the moon likes to be in Taurus. When of course when the moon is in Taurus, of course it answers to Venus, and we have Venus and Mercury in a tight dance all week, which generally speaking is a positive energy, collaborative, and so that square is really strong. And the question is, what kind of action is going to happen? And it might be a surprise. Some of the surprises that have popped out this week. I just saw a headline: another British Lord something is got arrested. Last week it was Andrew, former Prince Andrew, getting arrested. Action being taken. Justice being seen to be active. So, not terribly surprised that not surprised about the surprises because Uranus is so strong in the chart and has been for the last many weeks.
And with Neptune on the world point,
You want to take yourself
I just
off
want to come
mute?
back to that is that Neptune being on the world point and Saturn being on the world point, that means that it will affect the world, right? Not just the United States, not just your local community, not just your personal life, but it will also be on the world scale. And I think that's important to remember that. I think that it's important to remember that, that's what I was thinking about during that moment on Friday, that was happening to me when I was experiencing those things. I was kind of like, this is happening on a world scale. And I just started praying for peace in my body, peace around me, and peace for everyone, and just wanting and desiring peace. And, we got through it and, we survived. And eventually, peace is slowly being restored into my body. Um, and, so I think that that's what we need to recognize is while whatever happened to you on Friday when Neptune and Saturn were exactly at 0 degrees, that also speaks to you. It also speaks to the world. It also speaks to what you're seeing with the Epstein files and people going to jail and other countries saying, no, we're not tolerating this. Other countries putting people in jail. Good. They should. These people that were involved with this definitely need to go to jail. And I think most people would agree. So I do see that there's a void of course moon, Bright Hawk at 5 p.m.
Yeah, I was just going to say. So, tonight, this evening, Monday evening, this is East Coast time, so adjust for your time zone. We have a void of course moon. What does that mean? That means that the moon is at the very end of Taurus and it goes into a void before it enters Gemini. And that void lasts from 5 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. So if you're working a night shift or you do nighttime activities, or maybe it's later where you are, um, this is that time when the moon is at its lowest energy. That's what the void means. There's not a lot of dramatic energy. There's no room for it. We're moving from an earth sign to an air sign. So I asked you last week when we had big void of course moons if you had any challenging days because one of them was a water sign, and sometimes a void moon in a water sign can feel like a wet blanket. Like, where did my mojo go? Why can't I get anything done? Sometimes when you notice later, you go, oh, it was a void moon. So we encourage you to do good self care. Of course, those of us who keep regular hours, hopefully we'll go to bed at a reasonable hour and have a good night's sleep. So that's the void moon this week.
All right. And as we get into Tuesday, we see that the moon's in a T square. I'm not too worried about that. I mean, the moon comes into a T square with the nodes at least twice a month. And it's not too big of a concern. Um, Especially since Jupiter and Venus are in a trine. Just recognize that anything that's going on with money, um, it may not be as it appears right now. Okay. So, like, you might have a certain idea in mind with Jupiter retrograde, but later on, it may turn out a little bit differently. It'd probably be in your favor, but it may not look like it, or it may seem like it's not, or something like that. Okay. So just try not to try not to get too emotional about that. Um, with Venus in Pisces, I feel like Venus and Jupiter are going to be holding us through this Mercury retrograde. But because Mercury is about to go retrograde, I think that that's going to lead to miscommunications, misunderstandings, mishaps, um, just things going, you know, being mishandled somehow. I'm laughing because we're going to be pretty much packing to move. And I'm just like, right off, didn't we move in the last Mercury retrograde? I'm pretty sure we did. We definitely didn't plan it this way, but we're just kind of going. Sometimes, life sets you up, and I think when those kinds of things are happening, just plan for anything. Just plan, have backup plans to your backup plans. And I think if you have a backup plan, it's a little bit easier to move into it if you know what you're going to do if such and such falls through. Um, you can make a different choice.
Give yourself time. One of the things I cannot recommend highly enough is that when we're heading into a Mercury retrograde, it's usually the day before, day of, day after, where we all feel it, and the opportunity to let's build an extra half hour in so we're not stressed about what time we get there. Let's give ourselves 15 extra minutes so that we're not stressed about, oh, such and such fell out sideways. If you just give yourself a little bit of extra time, it might help you feel a little less stressed. Because things do go sideways during a Mercury retrograde. That's why everybody's talking about it. It doesn't have to be a terrible thing. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It just a little bit of grace, a little bit of flex. I love my friend Fantuzzi. Blessed are the flexible, for they shall never be bent out of shape. So be flexible this week, and the more you can do that, I think the less, hard bumps you'll have.
Yeah, so we'll have this T square, but I don't think it will make that much of a difference on Tuesday. I think that Mars will. Looks like Mars is in a square to Uranus, so we might take some actions or do some things that aren't really in our benefit that will probably come up later during the Mercury retrograde, I imagine. So, but like I said, I think overall it's gonna lead us to good places. It's gonna lead us to a better place. I think this is in a time where the universe is actually trying to help your direction, where it's kind of like, like I said, in the pushing of the waters, where it's actually pushing you in the right direction. And I think that's actually helpful. Um, and let's see, this is Wednesday. So I think at this point, I think it's probably stationing. Mercury is probably stationing. It's probably coming pretty still, moving pretty slow. So by this point, by the time you get to like Wednesday, it depends on how strong Mercury is in your chart. So for like Virgos and Geminis, you'll probably start to notice it this week, and you'll notice it more on Wednesday. Things might not go so well. Maybe your computers might act stupid or whatever, or my smartphone won't be smart anymore. Um, those kinds of things. And but if you just breathe, put it down, take a break, find a different place to put your energy. And it looks like there's a void of course moon, so that should kind of break up the energy a little bit. I think the void of course moons kind of take out the energy a little bit, so it makes it less intense for all of us. It looks like it's that night anyway, overnight. Maybe you'll sleep well.
Yeah, because earlier when it's squaring Mercury and Venus, the moon in Gemini squaring Mercury and Venus, it could be uncomfortable. We're going into a Mercury retrograde, squaring Mercury and Venus feels like that could be where people get irritated about why isn't this working? I can hear myself and how many times I do it to myself. So, but the good news is it's in a trine to Mars, so hopefully things right themselves without too much problem. And it's interesting. The voids are happening in the evenings all this week. The moon moving out of Gemini into Cancer, back to its home base. Of course, Cancer moon rules Cancer, and of course, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So that's why when we look at the moon's in Gemini, but it's squaring Mercury and Venus. So squares tend to be not as easy of conversations. It's requiring some action, generally speaking. There's usually some decision making opportunities in a square. So feeling that, pushing on that, I think it'll be a relief Wednesday night when the moon goes void, of course, from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Okay. And, into Thursday, by then, Mercury will go retrograde. So for people that are a little less likely to feel it so intensely, like Taurus, um, and more of the fixed signs, Taurus, Aquarius, maybe Leo, you may not feel it until this point, until Thursday. Then all of a sudden stuff starts breaking and stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, Hollis said something about a Mercury retrograde. That's what's happening. Um, and so if anything, we're on Monday. So if you happen to be watching this on Monday, if there's anything that might break, or you want to back up something important on your computer or whatever, go ahead and do that now. Do that sooner rather than later, because otherwise, when we get to the Mercury retrograde, it will definitely be skewed up. So you just wanna take it one step at a time. Good news is on this day I feel like a moon is in a trine to the sun, so it's a little less. I just feel like it's less intense. I just feel like we're yeah, there's a Mercury retrograde. Yeah, Mars is in a square to Uranus. You might be making some decisions that either require you to make some decisions in order to solve a problem, or or they could be slightly challenging. Just could be some challenging aspects of it, but I think you'll get through it. I don't think it will be nearly, I mean, comparatively to the rest of this month, I don't think it's going to be that hard. It might depend on your own placements. Do you have a bunch of placements in Pisces? If you have a bunch of placements in Pisces, you might feel it more. Do you have a bunch of placements in Virgo? Maybe you might feel it more because it's opposite, right? And Mercury's the ruling planet, but or Gemini, maybe you might feel it stronger. So it's just going to depend on your own placements and how many planets you have in Pisces, in Virgo, or if you're a Gemini. And it'd probably be in that order. Pisces will feel it more than Virgo, depending on which side you have more planets in. If you have more in Virgo, maybe you might feel it more than the person that just has a sun in Pisces. Um, and then a person that just has like one planet or a rising in Pisces, you probably feel it, but it won't be that bad. And then like a person that's like a Gemini rising or a Gemini sun or something, they might feel it. And if you have a combination of any of those things I just said, then it's probably going to slightly amp up, how it feels for you. Whatever house it's in will be what it affects in your life.
And what a time to affect. We have the sun conjunct the North Node. This is a great time to journal what you want in your life. What direction are you headed? What needs to be done? The sun and the North Node together is destiny this way. This is your future. Which is why we keep talking about how important this time is, because in between the eclipses is potent time that sets up the rest of the year, and in some case multi-year cycles. And Thursday with that conjunction, I'm thinking, what's your future? Focus on your future. Create your future. Feed your future. What would that look like? I know for me, it's feeding our future, because we are closing on my house in Colorado, and we're closing on our house that we're buying in New York, and all of it is happening at this time. And I'm not worried about it because I'm a Mercury retrograde. So this taking place during a retrograde with a retrograde in my chart makes me a little less nervous about it. And destiny, destiny, destiny. These charts that we've been showing you keep pointing to there is a path that's being lit up.
Yeah, but you're also finishing a contract, which is
Yeah.
completely what you want to do in a Mercury retrograde. So if you find yourself finishing things or bringing things to an end, that's exactly what you want to be doing in a Mercury retrograde. You just don't want to start new things so much. And
And if
so
you
it's actually
have to, and if you have to start something, know that when Mercury goes out of retrograde, things will change. Guaranteed. That before and after of a retrograde, things will change. And that's true for Mercury, it's true for Venus. So whatever's unfolding in March, April is going to look different, very different.
okay. And then hold on just a second. And so um this Jupiter in a trine, I was looking at this and I was thinking, oh, look at the way Mercury is going all the way up to like 22 degrees Pisces with Venus, who was already in a good conversation with Jupiter, right? But Jupiter was retrograde. And now Mercury is almost like picking up messages from Venus as Venus crosses paths and Mercury comes backwards, right? I almost feel like Mercury is carrying the message of Venus and Jupiter back into the oceans of emotion in Pisces, having you review things, having you look that over, have you to review that. And when it does, I feel like it's in a trine to Jupiter, and in that moment when it comes back here and it goes direct, it will come into a trine with Jupiter again. And I feel like that entire experience that we're going to have during this Mercury retrograde is going to speak to pleasant messages being brought into Jupiter, being brought back, pleasant messages about money, your wishes. So if you have wishes out there that you want to make them this week in regards to what you would like Jupiter to give you, because Jupiter is about to go direct. And when it changes direction, it tends to grant wishes. So it's going to go direct, So make your wishes now, because I feel like because Venus and Mercury are conjunct this week, they're speaking to each other. Now, Venus is going to continue on its path and Mercury is going to go backwards. So, Mercury is going to come back and get in a conversation with Jupiter and it's going to deliver your wishes. So, make sure that you make your wishes right now. These are good, positive wishes. Make sure you say out loud. Make sure you do some manifestation magic. Make sure you write it down. Make sure you speak it out loud. Make sure you truly say what it is you're visioning, what you're seeing, what you would like to have, and let the universe help you manifest that. Because whatever it turns out to be, whatever it ends up being in the end, I think it will be a blessing. And I think that that's what you should recognize. That's what's happening here. And as we go forward into the weekend, you know, Mercury comes into a good trine with the moon. It's in a great conjunction with Venus. And there is a void of course moon, but it's just an hour. Oh no, it looks like it is overnight. My fault. So it is overnight, but I think during the day before 7 o'clock p.m., you're likely to actually feel really good about something. So, whatever's feeling really good, it will feel like closure, probably. I wouldn't be surprised if certain things that you've been wanting to end for like months finally end. And I'm looking at that date going, yeah. To Bright Hawk, like, yeah. So we'll
And
finally
it's not
be.
like I had control over choosing the closing date. This is like totally out of my hands. It's just how it happened. I have to say a mea culpa. I'm terribly sorry. I looked at the ephemeris for the Venus retrograde and I read it wrong. March 1st, 2025 was when Venus goes to retrograde. It's not. It's not at all this period. So I need to take that out of the chart. It's not in the charts. I had it on the front page, so I apologize. There is no Venus retrograde with the Mercury retrograde. My bad.
It's all good. It
Is that
happens. It's easy to mess it up. It's easy to mess
and
it up.
frankly, it's a blessing that we just only have the one retrograde to deal with. Yeah. Okay.
Well, Jupiter is also retrograde, but it's good
Well,
that
yeah.
it will be going direct, and then Mercury will go direct, and this is going to be. I really feel like this is going to be a Mercury retrograde that we can say we're closing the book, we're closing the chapter, we're saying we're done with this now. Glad to put that behind me. Okay. Oh, I'm glad I finished that. Close, put it away. You're done. And I really feel like that's really the big message here. And I think emotionally, there might be some emotional stuff you have to deal with. Maybe you're ending some chapters that could feel really emotional and you still have to deal with those. But I think in the long run and in the bigger picture, I think it will make more sense. Overall for you. I think in the end, by the time you get to the end of this in April, you're going to be like, oh, thank God. I survived that. And it went well. It all turned out okay in the end. And I really feel like that's what we're headed towards. And even this weekend with Venus and Mercury conjunct, um, even though Mercury's retrograde, just like I said, if there's some ideas about money or relationships, just wait and see what happens because there could be a shift, there could be a change. Glad to see that Neptune and Saturn will be out of that one, off of that 0 degree, um, and they'll be separating more. Saturn goes faster than Neptune, so it will be moving on along here in Aries and loosening its grips on us, and we have survived it. The world has survived it. And it looks like the world's going to become a better place because of it. Look at the beautiful leaders we have stepping up to make the world a better place. Be looking for those excellent leaders during this transit, during the Saturn Aries transit. Some of the best leaders in our country will emerge, and we will start to make shifts towards a better system that will serve us all better. And it will be because of those warriors that will emerge, and we can all be grateful for them. So have some hope, my friends. All is not failing. And I feel like this weekend is going to be a pretty quiet, gentle weekend, which I think we could all really, 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 we could really use that. Huh? Is anybody else voting for a quiet weekend? I'm voting for a quiet weekend. So I'm putting my wish out there to Jupiter. Jupiter, could we just have a gentle week and a quiet weekend, and let's just slowly move up to it, and let's get through this week with as most positivity as we possibly can. And I really think, we're going to be okay. We survived this far.
One way or another, everything works out, right? And we're all in it together, and there's no point in fearing the sky or fearing the intensity. That fear doesn't ever get you anywhere. But what fear will tell you is it's time to make a prayer. It's time to get bigger. It's time to breathe. It's time to let go. Some people say let go, let God, right? So I feel like we're all being asked to level up, right? Learning and growth is always exponential. And the next layer is even more intense and it requires even more. And now's the time, right? Now's the time for more love, more peace, more cooperation. Now is the time to pay attention for insight, for awareness, and you will know what to do. And hopefully you will do it. And now is that awesome part of the podcast where Hollis does their amazing thing where They do a tarot reading from the Love is Love deck, which is a LGBTQ deck. Each card is created by a different artist, LGBTQ artist, which is wonderful. And it never ceases to amaze that the tarot and the astrology always speak so uh, in such a collaborative way where reinforces what we have already been talking about and maybe even gives us another way to think about it or look at it. So without further ado,
So this is the Six of Cups, and you can see, what have you received? What gifts have you received? And now is the time to look at those gifts. Now is the time to recognize what those gifts are and, to just say thank you for them. That's really what this is about. This is about the resources you've been given, the things you've been given that, the gifts that you've been given, the thank you. What can you say thank you for? I'm sure there's something that you've been given, and that's really important. And going forward in the here and now, this is very much about, this is the Two of Pentacles. This is about putting resources, this is about pooling resources together in a team. It's also about balancing resources and balancing your life in a good way. Sorry that the background keeps growing. um, and this is very much about, balancing, yes, but also at the same time pooling resources together with others in a team, but also against all odds in a good way, even when you weren't too sure it was going to happen. This is a way of sort of recognizing that impossible things happen or amazing things happen in spite of what we think is going to happen. That's kind of like what that is all about. And also in the future, this is a really beautiful card. Now, this is the Four of Wands, which is about intentions. And this is about setting the intentions of about two people coming together, bringing forth their intentions in a good way to celebrate their love and union. It can sometimes be marriage and other things that represent commitment, but it can also be about other celebrations in that way. It can also be about other commitments and connections, and in general, to speak of a growth in a relationship. And this is very much about being the Four of Wands. This is very much about speaking to the celebration of growth. So this is very much pointing to make sure you celebrate, by the way. So this is all really positive stuff. This card is all about the resources that you've already received, good things that have already come to you. Make sure you're grateful for those things. Make sure you say thank you, right? And then balancing your resources with others, balancing and pulling them together, doing your best to make the best of a situation, even when it feels like there might be some odds stacked against you. You still are balancing and pulling together even through hard times. If you notice, there are protesters down here. It's actually a split side. You can't see if I pull it too close, but maybe you can zoom in. But you can see that there are protesters on this side that are like peace and love and stuff. And then the protesters on the other side are like screaming with a Christian cross and things like that, kind of anti LGBTQ. And you can see that this is a heart with infinity on it, and this person is balancing, and they're also kind of non-binary or androgynous presenting. And so this is very much about balance. This is very much about balancing even through hard times and getting through hard times. Look at what you, it's kind of like the universe saying, look what you've been through, you got there, congratulations. And going forward, the universe says celebrate. Make sure you celebrate. This is the Four of Wands. This is very much about the two of you being together, about dancing together, about celebrating together, and finding celebration in our in, what we're going forward with. And this is very much about celebrating each other. Okay. So this is about celebrating your connections with others. Okay. Celebrating your relationships and other types of things like that.
Wow. I'm just going to say that so resonates for me, and half of it feels like part of what you were telling me, pay attention to your gifts, pay attention to what a good job you've done, pay attention to it's not, while this has been hard, you're going to get to the other side of this and it's going to be amazing. Whew. Makes you have faith and hope. At least for me, that's what I hear out of that reading is like, be grateful, have faith, and keep moving. I appreciate that. Well, I hope it helps you all.
Celebrate. Don't forget to celebrate.
And celebrate. And don't forget to celebrate. That's a really good point. We definitely need to do that when we get into our house and finally go, what a relief that will be. So I hope that you've enjoyed Rainbow Soul and this week is amazing for you. Thank you for your likes and subscribes and your shares. And please join us Monday evenings when we do a live Q&A. Happy to answer your questions that you might have. And we just wish you all the best, send you so much love. And thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week.
Oops.
Thanks so much for spending time with us this week. We hope you're feeling more connected to the cosmic energies and ready to work with them in your daily life. If you enjoyed today's show, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps us reach more people who could use some cosmic guidance. And don't forget to share this episode with anyone who might need to hear it. We love hearing from you, so drop a comment, let us know what resonated most or what you would like covered next week. Your questions and feedback make our show better. Want to join us live? Subscribe! And catch us on Facebook and YouTube, where you can ask questions in real time and be part of our cosmic community as it happens. Until next week, trust your intuition, follow your inner wisdom, and remember, the stars are always supporting your journey. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars.